Kamala Harris is not a godsend, all right? You people didn't even like her 6 months ago. Now, all of a sudden, she's black female Jesus, the way Obama was black Jesus. And let me tell you something. He had a lot more going for him than Kamala Harris does. And not just as firsts go, but his type of campaigning, his type of persuasion, his charisma, okay? He was imbued with things that she is not. And I don't mean that as a criticism. It's just a point of comparison. And her process fucked her also. There's a convenience in it, but it fucked her also. Because there are a lot of misgivings about her. There's an underlying feeling that she didn't get this the right way. She may not have won a primary. She didn't even make it to the first round of primaries when she did run. And that is both fair and unfair at the same time. But look, this idea of don't say anything bad about her because Trump, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. And it's not how you get to a better place. It's a relative assessment. She has negatives. So does he. Does he have more? Yeah. He also has a way more intense following. That's why this race is so tight. Now, explain that to me. Unless you want to write off half this country as bigots, how do you explain it being so tight? Maybe you're not as right about everything as you think you are. Maybe you should be a little bit more open to the people that you disagree with. Maybe they're not all racist.
Surprise Donald Trump win in 2016.
The polling missed the 2016 election outcome.
And a surprisingly close Joe Biden win in 2020.
A lot of folks are waking up and saying, why were these seeming to be so off?
They do manually dial.
Quinnipiac University's poll director Doug Schwartz and others like him have tweaked their methods to better predict who will win in November.
How do you think about that in terms of what happened there and what you're doing now?
Some pollsters are thinking it's because they missed the Trump voter. And then for us, we don't feel like we missed the reaching the Trump voter. We got the Trump voter. They were in our poll, but they didn't tell us how they would vote. This time around, we're better prepared.
So they're rephrasing their questions.
If the election for president were being held today,
doing everything they can to reach those who are hard to reach.
Our motto is we try hard to reach the hard to reach people.
Here's why that's important. These are the poll averages right now in all the battleground states. If those polls are off the same way they were in 2016 and 2020, Donald Trump is in great shape. But these poll errors don't always happen in the same direction. If they're off by the same amount, but this time underestimating Democrats, this is what those states would look like.
And then remember, I got invited to do the interview with her. They wanted to pay me $15K for Kamala Harris a couple months ago. So remember, some people were saying, well, did he make that up? I didn't make it up. They texted me and said we wanted to pay, and they was after me for a while. And I said, listen, it got to be live. They wanted an interview, but I wanted it live. You're not going to pre-record it and splice it because I know how y'all crackers move. So I said, live interview, straight to the people. I don't want your money. I ain't for sale. I think they wanted to test to see if I was a money-hungry Negro. And I said, nah, let's do it. And they never called me back because they wasn't going to let her answer my questions live because she wouldn't have any answers. And I'm going to tell you this. This is what black people are not paying attention to. If Kamala Harris wins, we really going to catch hell. You know why? She going to make us pay for everybody who exposed the fact that she was never black. Do you feel me? She has a grudge and an axe to grind. Black people ain't getting shit if Kamala Harris get elected. You weren't going to get it anyway. Stay with me. Yeah. But it was a neutral neglect. You feel me? That would have been thank you. It would have been a benign neglect. Now it's a spiteful neglect. I'm going to get you ninjas back for exposing the fact that I was never black. Black people ain't going to get nothing.
This election is not about Democrats and Republicans. This election is about whether we are a secular nation or are we one nation under God. And you know, it was a long time ago, but Benjamin Franklin, when he came out of that Constitution Hall after vigorous arguments over how our nation was going to be run, he was asked, "Sir, what do we have here? A monarchy or a republic?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." We've kept it for 240 years, but we're as close to losing it right now as we have ever been at any point in time. We have a Department of Justice that's being used by the party in power to persecute and prosecute their political opponents, something you would expect in Russia or China or Banana Republic, occurring blatantly right in our country. And interestingly enough, we have somebody who's running for president who recently said in a crowd when somebody said, Jesus Christ is Lord, that you're in the wrong crowd. Think about that. You know, in Matthew 12:34, it says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. She didn't have time to think about what she was going to say. She just said what's in her heart. So maybe she's the one who doesn't belong. Maybe that's what we should be thinking about.
Party. We don't have to deal with this. Send Kamala Harris back to wherever she is. You just heard that Indian lady say that they don't want her in her community. Well, you don't get to put your rejects over here in ours. Send her back to wherever she came from. Let her rule wherever she at. But she don't get to come over here. It's a pseudo-black woman and run for office, because the only reason why they did that is because they knew that on her own, as an Indian woman candidate, she would have been just like she was in the primary. Didn't get not one vote. She would have did just like what they needed to do, to cheat her, to get her to be a nomination. Because on her own, she couldn't do it. So they threw the black card on her. Knowing that black people, and particularly black women, will go running after that pipe dream.
Right, that's right.
We know better than that. We know black when we see it, and we don't care who try to say that she is, because she's not.
Right.
And the only reason why they gave it to us, because they're protecting Gavin Newsom's career, and J.B. Pritzker's career. Because those were the Democrats that could have had a chance, but Trump would have stumped them out too. So they put them to the side and threw Kamala Harris out front, put a fake black tag on her so that she could get some votes. But it's not going to work, and it's not good enough. We want Trump in the White House. We want a real president. We want the people's president. We want somebody that's going to make a change. We want somebody who's going to put America first. He's putting America first. This is our country. This is our country. This is our country. It doesn't belong to anybody else. People put work in to make this. White people did what they did to get this. No offense, but it's true. Black people survived how we had to survive to stay here. This is our country. And it's a beautiful thing. Just like you saying, the South Side and the West Side come together for the first time in history. It's the first time in history that you're seeing black and white come together like this, because it's about America. And we understand that.
I'm voting for Trump because he's white and he's a male. And if you don't vote for him, you are a racist and you're a sexist. Does that sound stupid? Exactly. Now you know how it feels when you say you're only voting for Kamala because she's not a white person and she's a female. People who are saying that Trump is afraid to debate Kamala, do you genuinely believe this? The dude set foot into North Korea and you think he's afraid of Kamala Harris? Why are the same people who are saying that we're in a cult are the same people who are saying they're gonna vote blue no matter what? What does that sound like to you? I am open to voting for whoever, but I've lived through a Trump presidency and I've lived through a Democrat presidency where the current vice president is running for president and she's saying she's gonna do all these things like lower inflation. She's already vice president. The reason why things are so high priced is because of their policies. And you guys want to keep voting for the same thing, but yet complain that you can't buy a house or buy literally anything.
What are your feelings, and let me start with the women here, about Kamala Harris?
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go up against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
We brought up gender, right? Like, do you think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role?
No, I don't think that, because most men, they love their mothers. They love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect the woman, but she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America, because she don't have the experience. She don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy. Right. Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
So the fact that she's the vice president
That's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for truancy. That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a black woman, but yet she's locking up black women and black men and separating families.
This is the thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, you know, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. She's sworn into when she sworn to the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view, and like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.